Hello beautiful people, it's Kayla and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. Today I am back with you with another Read with Kayla video. So if you don't know what these are, every 2 weeks I post a blog post with all the books I've read over the past 2 weeks with reviews, ratings, links to buy them, and I also come and I talk to you about them on YouTube. So I have 8 books here, well 7 physically next to me and then an 8th to talk about. And we're just gonna kind of talk about them. Okay, so this is not the order I read them. If you wanna know the order I read them, you can check out the blog post, which is always linked in the description of the video. And let's get into it. So the first book in the pile is Something to Talk About by Meryl Wilsner. This book is a fake it till you make it romance. It's a fake romance trope, but I call it fake it till you make it because I'm me. It is about Jo and her assistant Emma. They are spotted on the red carpet making each other laugh, looking a little bit coupley. And so the media, of course, goes a little wild and assumes that they are dating when they are not. A little bit of chaos ensues, and as the trope goes, do they fall in love? We'll see. So I really love this book. I said it on Instagram the other day, on Bookstagram, that I will always love a good fake it till you make it trope book, but this year, and this came out, when did this come out? This 2019 or 2020? Let me double check. This was a 2020. So there were 2 books that came out in 2020 that were a fake romance trope that I loved the most, and that is this one right here, and Written in the Stars by Alexandria Belfleur. So basically, sapphic fake romance is just winning right now. So that is something to talk about. Meryl Wilsner, I gave it 4 stars and I would highly recommend you read it. All right, let's save that one. Let's save that. Next up, we have Cersei by Madeleine Miller. Now, if you watched the last Read with Kayla video, you know that I read The Song of Achilles and I wasn't crazy about it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book, but it like wasn't my favorite. And so, I, being the Greek myth nerd I am, was very excited about this book because I love the story of Cersei, but I was nervous because I wasn't sure if it was just Madeleine Miller's writing style I didn't like, what it was. I honestly think it was just that book because Cersei was incredible. I'm obsessed with it. This book takes place over the span of centuries because obviously Cersei is immortal, and so like hundreds and thousands of years go by in the span of this book. Not hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands is what I meant. And it's so well done. It doesn't feel jumpy in the way you would expect a book that takes place over, you know, a minimum of 10 centuries would feel. It definitely is well put together, and somehow I assume mortal Madeleine Miller found a way to get into the head of the immortal Cersei and not make it feel like fabricated in a way. Like, I really enjoyed this retelling of Cersei's story. So I gave this 4 stars and I highly recommend you read it. All right, that we have to save. Okay, next up we have Crush, which is the sequel to Crave, which I also talked about in the last Read with Kayla. And if you remember in that video I said that I almost DNF'd, did not finish Crave because I just like could not get into it. And then I got to the end and there was a huge freaking plot twist and cliffhanger and so much excitement at the end that I could not wait to read Crush. But I was also a little nervous because I didn't know if it was gonna disappoint. It did not disappoint. This brought the drama, it brought new characters, it brought a love triangle, it brought all sorts of excitement, and then left us on another huge cliffhanger, which really angered me. So I definitely gave this one 4 stars. It was worth muddling through Crave to get to Crush. And it was worth getting through Crush to get to Covet. Covet is the 3rd in this series, and it just came out on the 2nd of March, I believe, which was right about when I was finishing Crush. So Crush ended on a huge cliffhanger. I made myself read another book, and then I got to dive in to Covet, which was incredible. Even more twists and turns, a little bit of a resolution to the love triangle, but was there really? But yes, but no. Grace discovers more powers, works even harder. They go on lots of adventures. And again, another cliffhanger that I cannot wait until September when Court comes out to see how this series resolves. So another 4-star read. Crave is hard to get through, but it is worth it to get to Crush and Covet. Covet may be my favorite in this series so far. And we'll see if Court can dethrone it in the fall because I have a feeling it's gonna be really good. Next up, let's stick on the fiction track, then we'll get to the 2 nonfiction. So next in fiction, we have these 2 gems here. We got Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm. Shadow and Bone is the first in the Grishaverse trilogy. It is about Alina, who is a cartographer, map maker, who discovers that she has magic powers that may just be the answer to saving the world. A little bit of pressure, but that's fine. I was hooked on this book, could not put it down. So excited for the Netflix series, which is the reason I picked it up, because I knew I was gonna wanna watch the show, but I wanted to read the books first. I was absolutely hooked to this book. 5 stars, loved it so much, was really excited to see what happened next. And then I read Siege and Storm. It is a good book. It is not a bad book. It is a good book. I loved reading more about Alina's story. As you can see from the covers, the animals on them have like significance. I feel like the significant part of this creature was really rushed through. There was a lot of new information and new characters introduced really quickly it was just really hard to kind of like latch onto. And I feel like a lot of the new characters who were introduced are gonna be super important, but I like could not connect to them because it was like, here are 5 people who are really important. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And you couldn't tell if it was gonna be, if they're gonna be like important to helping Alina, harming Alina, if they're potential love interests, if they're potential villains. Like you can't, it was very hard to tell. The twist at the end was awesome. I did enjoy that. It really set up the next book, which I'm really excited to read. And I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the story. I think Alina grew a lot as a character. It was really cool to see her relationships and her power kind of evolve in this book, but it just was kind of a letdown after how much I love Shadow and Bone. I only gave it 3 stars, which is rare when the first book gets a 5-star for me to give the sequel a 3-star. But I mean, we'll see if Ruin and Rising kind of turns it around. I've heard a lot that this trilogy people don't like as much as the Six of Crows duology, and the TV show is a combination of the 2. So we'll see when I get to that. But I just was a little bummed after how much I love Shadow and Bone that I didn't love Siege and Storm as much. But we'll see how the 3rd book goes, and then once I dive into Six of Crows, we'll see how it turns out. All right, next up, we have Unfinished by the beautiful Priyanka Chopra Jonas. This is her memoir. It tells kind of, I mean, her entire life story up until whenever she finished writing this last year. She's kind of someone who's fairly open in the media, and so I kind of knew quite a bit about her like childhood growing up, you know, the child of doctors. Her brother's quite a bit younger than her. She went to high school in the US. She won a pageant, started acting in Bollywood, tried to break into the music scene in the US first, and then got into TV with Quantico, which is still such an amazing show. I love Quantico. Now I want to watch Quantico. And then met Nick Jonas. They got married really quick, and then quarantined. Essentially, it's like her life. And it was just really interesting to like read about it all chronologically, and just you get to kind of get a better idea of who she is as a person, how hardworking she is. She is so incredibly hardworking. She has worked her ass off to get where she is. And she has had hardship, she has had grief, but she also has had a life full of like a lot of love and support. And it's just really, it was a really nice memoir to read, and made me love her even more. So, you know, as much as I try and hate her for, you know, marrying my childhood crush, I can't. I love her. I love her so much. I say childhood like he's not only 2 years older than me, but It's fine. So yes, I highly recommend this. I know memoirs aren't really everyone's thing. I hadn't read one in a while before I picked this up. But if you're looking for a good memoir, Unfinished by Priyanka Chopra Jonas. All right, and then the last book I don't have physically, but I will insert the cover right here. That is Overcoming Addiction to the Status Quo by Catherine F. Burmeister. It actually is coming out on Monday, the 15th of March. Catherine reached out to me and asked if I would like a copy to review, and I said sure, because this book sounded like something right up the SBK alley. Really feels like it ties in to the things I talk about on Lifestyled and just kind of my general vibe of like how to live your best life in this crazy world we live in. And I really did enjoy this book. I did give it 3 stars. It is a book about the idea that especially in the like professional world, and especially in like zero-sum careers like medicine and sports and law, we sometimes get into this like mode of just becoming workaholics, having to power through, being expected to do more than we should, kindness being seen as a weakness, like all these things that are hallmarks of these stressful careers, and just life in general, and how that impacts our mental health, and our views of ourselves, and self-worth, and how important it is to kind of like break away from this idea that we have to always be going, and that kindness is weakness, and that we can't be vulnerable, and that work has to come first. It kind of talks about how harmful those ideas can be, especially to mental health, and how oftentimes we don't really realize how detrimental our career focus is to our mental health and our personal lives. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how she talked about finding your values and making sure those are, you know, prominent in your life. The idea that you need to know your own story to be able to be vulnerable with others and to move forward. The idea that happiness isn't like a tangible, like physical thing. It's not like, you know, you get all the money, you do the right career, you have success and you're happy. It's more like an inner state of being. And the idea that kindness is actually like very valuable in this world, and empathy, and that building up these walls between, you know, our work selves and our real selves isn't healthy, that our job should not become our life, but we shouldn't have to put on like a work front. And I just really enjoyed her talking about boundaries, things like that. I really recommend that you read this. It's a little hard to get through because it's told like through her life story. She talks about how she hit rock bottom and how she moved forward, you know, through this process, obviously. And she is a lawyer. And so there's a lot of like talk about how law firms work and her experience there. And so like some of that was like hard to get through just because like I don't know anything about law. But it was very interesting to kind of see how she moved through this world of getting through the society's expectations of what these high power careers entail, and especially as being a woman. She talked a lot. There's a whole chapter that was like a conversation between her and 3 other female lawyers, and they talked about how they got through toxic workplaces and their views of themselves within their career, and the thought that because they were either starting out new in a career, or because they were a woman, or because they were new to an office, or because of XYZ reason, they had this like less idea of self-worth, and this idea that they had to work harder than everyone else to be able to succeed, and how they've moved past that. And I thought it was really, really interesting. So I really enjoyed that book. Thank you to Catherine for sending me a copy of it. I really enjoyed that. I love when someone sends me a copy of a book and I actually like really find value in it. So I highly suggest you guys check that out. It comes out on Monday, March 15th. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. They're both linked in the blog post, which is in the description, so you can go and pre-order it. Or just, you know, check it out on Monday when it comes out. But yeah. So that's the books I read over the last 2 weeks. Make sure you check out the blog post in the description for my full written reviews, reasons why you might like these books, and links to purchase them, as well as the links to them on Goodreads so you can find them and read more about them or add them to your to-read list. Give this video a big old thumbs up if you like reading. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book you read over the past few weeks is. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single video I upload, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!